Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm back with another video, and today we're going to talk about the point of hugging our traumas. So, what does hugging our traumas even mean? To me, it's really exactly how it sounds. Like, we like to hold on to all the bad things that have happened to us, and also all the bad people, kind of holding on to them like a crutch. It's kind of like the people and the events that kind of made you as sad as you are, you still hold on to for the sake of memories, for the sake of history with that person, relationships, friendships, just finding any reason to hold on to them for support or comfort. So, as far as your trauma and things you've experienced, it's a heavy weight to carry. Obviously, everyone's experiences in the world are theirs to experience. And this, I think I drove myself crazy trying to get my friends or even people around me to relate to what I was going through. We use friends, we use, partners, whatever, as like a sounding board, family, like as a sounding board to get that support. But, there's only a certain amount of understanding a person can have regarding your specific situation. But the real topic that I want to talk about is not even just the traumas that you go through, but more so, why do you keep those things that remind you of the trauma still in your life? Why do you keep those triggers still in your life? Like, if you know that, if it was a bad relationship or a bad friendship, something triggered you or caused you a lot of trauma, why do you still stick around that, And for me personally, I stayed around my traumas because it was just comfortable to me. Like, I'm gonna be honest, like, a lot of people don't want to start over. So I was one of those people where I just kind of just stayed where I was used to. So I was used to, being around certain groups of people, being around a certain guy I was dating that when, I realized, like, yeah, these people caused me trauma, I just kept them around because maybe it was like a part of me thinking that it was going to get better in the end. But I think the growth has to come from knowing that you can heal, but you can't heal from what hurts you if those things are still in your life. That's just facts. It's kind of like the analogy where they say you burn yourself on the stove, right? And, as a kid, you don't know any better. So you put your hand on the stove, you realize that burned, and then you realize not to do it again, right? So why, as adults, do we keep burning ourselves, burning our hands, and still going back knowing that the only thing they know how to do is cause harm? So it's just like kind of just like a crazy circle moment of like, as a child, it's like, why do I keep allowing the same things to happen over and over again? But more importantly, you have to ask yourself, what role do you play in allowing your traumas to still affect you? Because you can't, some things, we grow up with, we can't help. We can't help the types of parents we're given. We can't help the traumas we experience as kids, as teens, whatever. But when it comes to things that we learned from and the lessons that we learned, you kind of have to like use your mindset like, okay, I know I don't want to go through this again, so I need to figure out like what needs to change. I feel like accountability is hard because it's hard for people sometimes to say, you know what, this is my fault. It wasn't my fault that I got my heart broken. It wasn't my fault that this friendship didn't work out. It wasn't my fault that I suffered from mental abuse, whatever you may be going through right now. It's not your fault that those happened. But what it is your fault is allowing those same people and those same environments to bring you out of character, to make you regress, you know? And I think love is it's such a hard concept in art to love someone, because we will allow love to be the reason why we just put up with anything. Like, I just love them so much, or we have been friends for so long, or, at the end of the day, that's my parent. At the end of the day, that's your sister, Like, a lot of people around us and ourselves try to convince ourselves that we should put up with a lot of crap for the sake of family, friendship, relationships. And that's just not the case. If someone's stealing your peace and you feel like it's kind of deterring you from what you feel like God has called you away from, you gotta cut them loose. Like, you gotta cut them loose. And that's not necessarily like, oh, I'm cutting you off out of my life forever. Maybe it's just for a period, but if you feel like you're regressing back to your old behaviors, if you're regressing back to just things that trigger you, like, then that's probably a sign that you should probably let it go. Trauma, there's also emotional trauma when you are in relationships. There's traumas where, you may not have a physical wound, but you definitely have a mental and emotional one. And, I think it's important to know the difference between wounds and scars because wounds are fresh, open, bleeding, you don't know what to do, you didn't expect it. That to me is what the first instinct is when someone causes you to kind of feel like that. And the goal is for the wound to heal, but that takes time. I used to get mad at myself so bad that I wasn't over certain situations because I just felt like everyone around me was just able to move on so quick from anything bad that happened to them. Like, just simple move on. And, you know, to me, I was like, okay, I need to like get it together. I don't know what's wrong with me because it would take me months, years even, to fully grasp and really process and move on from certain things that I experienced. I don't want to say things happened to me. Like, I just want to say things that I experienced because life's just an experience. But I would be so upset at myself for not getting over things quick because I would think I was over it. But really, what it was is it was out of sight, out of mind. So I was thinking, hey, I'm away from these people. I'm away from these environments. I'm focused on me. I'm reading the Bible. I'm doing all this. Like, I'm good to go, right? But then as soon as God puts me in to that test where I'm like in that environment again, I fold because what I didn't do, I didn't really move on. What I really did was just distance myself away from the trigger. But as soon as you're put in that situation, it's like all that progress is gone. Obviously, that's not true. Like, all the progress isn't gone, but that's how I would feel when I would think I was over something and then I get triggered by a word or an environment. And, you know, healing is a process. So it starts off as a wound and then the goal is to, heal it. But, some scars you get are exactly that. They're scars. It might be on your heart a little bit, but you can't negate how far you've come just because you can still see the scar. So, that was a big thing for me is just understanding that healing is a process and it's not steps 1 through 4, A to Z sort of thing. What's important to me may not be as important to you. Some people don't prioritize the same things that you do. And that's what I realized. Like, a lot of my like college years, I was prioritizing men. I was prioritizing people. And I think that that affects you a lot because for some people it's like, oh, this relationship didn't work. Okay, move on to the next. Like, why are we tripping? Like, life goes on, plenty of fish in the sea. For me, it was like, oh, like I just felt like my life was over, and that isn't right. I think it's just kind of a reflection of just not putting God first, which I don't want to get like everything's about God, but it really is. Like, I really think for me it's just I was, prioritizing men so much and people and friendships that when friendships wouldn't work out, relationships wouldn't work out, it really hit hard for me. It wasn't like, oh, life goes on, life, goes in motion, comes in waves. It was very hard for me. How do you get over the trauma that people caused you who you love? It's kind of like where do I go with that? Because like even if it's family, it's like, do I cut family off? And especially like Black households, that's a big excuse. Oh, well, they're still your sister, or that's still your dad, or that's still your mom at the end of the day. And it's like that shouldn't really negate things that hurt you. And relationships, oh, I've been dating this person for however many years. I just want it to mean something. I just want it to have some meaning. What kind of story is that for relationships, friendships, doesn't matter. What kind of story is that to say, yeah, they caused me mad trauma, but they turned a new leaf? Like, it's hard to let go of certain people and certain environments and old habits, but you have to understand the role that you play in your own trauma and understand that God doesn't want you there. Like, there's certain, signs and discernment that you'll get if you put God first, where you'll be like, this isn't me. This isn't what I want. And if you're in this constant cycle of sadness or questioning your worth or anything like that, then that is probably the sign to go. I just felt like I wasn't worthy enough for better. And sometimes when you're surrounded by people in certain environments that you're better than, like as a whole, but in the moment you're like just lonely, you might think that this is what like this is what I deserve, like this is as good as it's going to get for me. And that is why it's important to just allow your traumas to shape who you are, allow your traumas, learn from them and allow it to transform you into the person that you are right now and become better and more aware and just more resilient. But don't allow your traumas to drag you down. Don't still surround yourself around the things that made you the most saddest. But yeah, that's pretty much it I have on the topic. Healing's not easy. It's not, quick, and it's different for everyone. But I think it's important to just acknowledge, the different factors that you have, that you allow to stay in your life. And that could be the reason why it's hard to move on. That's all I have for today. But just make sure you like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.